Hey guys, Victoria here, and welcome to the Geeky Sandbox. We are finally to episode 9 of Daredevil Born Again, and oh my god, was it so good. But also, what the heck? Cliffhanger! If you don't want any spoilers for this episode, as always, please feel free to skip it and come back. So the title of episode 9 is called Straight to Hell, and that's exactly where Fisk is going after everything he's pulled in this episode. So Matt is in the hospital, and it kills me because the first thing he says is Karen, which I'm like, now why are you saying Karen's name in this hospital room, which severely hurt Heather. Even in his condition in the hospital, he's still trying to convince Heather, and even now Kirsten, exactly how involved Vanessa Fisk is with Volu's death, the whole setup, the cover-up, everything. And he wants him to go back and look at the files and get some more information. Kirsten's not really sure where to start. She's telling him, like, I'll do it, or we can go back and visit that, but right now you're in no state to talk about this. And whenever you're out of the situation, we do need to have a talk, but I am glad that you're okay. It's very interesting just how closed-minded she's being when it comes to all of this. I think the way she was written is fine for the series as a whole. She seems very stuck on the fact that Mr. Fisk is a great guy. And I think that that's very interesting that she's not willing to listen to anything that her boyfriend has to say. And maybe she'd be more willing and on board if he was more present, if he would share things with her, because in her mind, he's aloof, he's secretive, he's being weird, and she really thinks it may be a mental health concern. And, you know, toss in the bruises, the late hours, and things like that. And you know, of course, anytime he says something that sounds remotely silly, she's not going to believe it. But again, I do find the whole idea of it all interesting and how they shaped it for the show, because she knows that Wilson Fisk is a man with a severe amount of criminal history. So it's interesting that she hasn't once thought that he could probably be up to something, but maybe she's looking at it from the lens of, like, you know, he's running for mayor. He wouldn't have gotten a position if he wasn't corrupt still, right? And I do want them to give Heather some sort of redeeming quality or some kind of redemption arc of some kind, because that's the only time we see Heather in this episode until the very end, where Fisk asked her to join his team kind of as their onboard medical advisor or their mental health advisor, and she accepts. Buck is instructed by Fisk to go and just kill Matt Murdock. So we're in a place where he's not even trying to cover up the fact that he's trying to kill Daredevil. He just wants Murdock dead at this point because he's creating problems. He just wants him off the table. He wants him off the chessboard. This really amazing sequence happens where the power goes out across the city, and Buck is there with a can of gasoline, and he's already there ready to kill Murdock. But before he even gets in the room, Matt is already gone and at his apartment. And this has to be the most exciting part in the episode for me, because you guys know I love John, and he is back as Frank Castle, the Punisher. It was so good. I remember cheering and just being so hyped when he showed back up, because I thought it was really, really fun just to see Matt even crack a smile. You're the last person I thought was going to be here in my apartment. Because honestly, I thought someone else was going to be waiting for him too. So I love that. And he does allude to, hey, you know, I'm doing this as a favor for someone. They asked me to come out here and protect you. So what are we going to do about this? They do have some fun and friendly banter. We stand a coffee lover like Frank, but more importantly, they forge a plan of, okay, we know that they're coming to this apartment. We know the task force is being sent here. Fisk's not going to stop. We know Frank's methods of fighting are very much so more bloody, violent, and he goes for the kill, where Daredevil hasn't often put himself in a position where he's going for the kill. But of course, all hell breaks loose whenever they do break in and storm the apartment. Frank kills so many people, and it was freaking awesome. It was just so fun to see the Punisher let loose, and they're just shocked that he's there. They're torn between admiration and then also trying to make sure he doesn't kill them. Meanwhile, Matt's trying to stop him from killing people, and it's very interesting. With all of that going on, they do find out which officer killed Hector Ayala. I fully thought that Matt was going to kill this guy, but he didn't. He just said, you're not worth it. It is revealed that Karen is the one who sent Frank over as a favor. Matt kind of senses some history between them, and he sounds a little jealous, but my God, am I happy that this did not end with Karen and Matt getting back together, or Karen and Matt kissing. I was just like, please, I'm over it. I don't want any of it. Let her have her thing with Frank. After these big fight sequences, Matt and Karen are pretty much off the radar for the rest of the episode. More members from the task force end up tracking down Frank, and they end up overpowering him. I was really hoping he could get out of their grasp, but they try to have a come to Jesus moment with him where they want him to join them and just kind of work alongside them and do the dirty stuff that they're doing, right? But he taunts them and he said he's not doing that. They beat the crap out of him and he's in cuffs in a cage similar to Adam, along with some of the rich folks that we saw in episode 6. So it's really interesting where Fisk is going with all of this and having all of these people that he sees as enemies caged and jailed. And you do find out, speaking of Fisk, going back, Fisk all along, which nobody's shocked, has been trying to use his status and position to further move along the whole Red Hook project that Vanessa had been working on. She feels justified. The relationship is better than ever because he does let her know, like, hey, I know what you did. I know that you had Poindexter kill Foggy. I know that it's messy, but it's all for the better. I thought it was really interesting and very clarifying conversation, not only for Vanessa, but just to reiterate for the audience that of course, Gallo was right. And speaking of Gallo, Gallo does get his head smushed to smithereens in this episode by Fisk in front of the others as an example. And it does suck that he was taken out so easily, but obviously we're always up to see Fisk squish somebody's head. And then speaking of Gallo, I do want to touch on BB as well as Sheila. Sheila does fall in line, and I'm not sure if it's because she fears for her safety in her life or if she fears she will lose her position and her status within working in the mayor's office, because I know one of the things in the earlier episodes she said was, I'm going to be here when you guys are gone. And I feel like maybe she is trying to maintain that. She actually records her conversation with Gallo, gets him caught, and that's how he ends up getting killed ultimately. And I do worry for BB in this case because it does kind of seem like she was really hoping to try to find a way to bring Fisk down. But obviously Gallo, I'm sure by now she's learned that Gallo has disappeared, but she knows what disappeared means. Sheila kind of looks like there's a bit of shame because I don't think she expected him. I mean, but what did she expect, right? But maybe a part of her didn't expect for him to get murdered. In Josie's, you have some of our cops that we've seen throughout the season, and you have Cherry and Karen. They're all waiting in there, and Matt comes out in his Daredevil outfit. And it's like a nice sign of hope. Despite everything going on in the streets, everything going on with Fisk in office, there's a nice sign of hope. And we do get a stinger at the end of this episode. Frank ends up convincing this poor idiot to come shake his hand because he was happy that he got to get to know him or something silly. And he breaks his hand, breaks his arm, just so that way he can get out of that cell. I was like, he's not going to stay in there that long. So I'm happy that they gave us that, because I was going to be severely disappointed if Frank just stayed in there. This season, I do feel like the pacing was quite slow in some areas, but I understand with the whole born again, redemption type of story arc and figuring out who you are when you're in the mask and when you're not. I do feel like that is those are the type of topics that you do have to take your time with, and I appreciate them for doing that. I will say with characters like Heather and BB, I feel like I wish that there was more time where we could have shaped them a bit better. I do feel like we have a lot of potential with BB in season 2, and I am still curious, despite everything, to see what happens with Heather and her dynamic with Daredevil and Fisk in the next season. But overall, if I had to rate this season of Daredevil Born Again, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 geeks. I feel some of the episodes kind of brought down the rating for me just a bit with some of the pacing and then the mini storylines and story threads, but I know that you kind of have to lay the foundation in order to have a long-lasting or long-standing series, and I think Disney plans to do a couple more seasons of Daredevil Born Again. I know they're already filming season 2. If you liked this episode, let me know down in the comments. And if you didn't, what were your gripes about it? And of course, if you're new around here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can get more videos like this one. And until next time, I'll see you guys for the next series. Bye!